It is that time of the season again where the Chiefs have their most commanding and interesting matchups to make sure that they get to the postseason. It is the Buffalo Bills this week, and we have news for you today with an update of who is not going to be on the field. We're going to run down all the injuries for you, get you prepared for this game against the Buffalo Bills. Welcome. It is the Game Plan stream Friday afternoon. I'm flying solo today, so I'm going to answer your questions. We're going to run down my major topics for how the Chiefs can get this win. We're going to show you what Underdog Fantasy has cooking, and we are going to start with the news today about who's in and who's out. And that's really what it comes down to. At the end of the day, it is who's available. And one is not going to be Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco has been ruled out, and you've been hearing me talk all week long about what the run game needs to do to support the offense as it needs to get cooking, right? And that's still very much the case, but this is not going to be Isaiah Pacheco. As much as I am disappointed to hear that, the case doesn't really change. Now, if you heard me talk with Joe Marino of Locked On Bills this week, also over at the Draft Network, you can check Joe out. We had a good conversation about what would be the way to counteract the Buffalo Bills defense, the fact that they can rotate through a number of pass rushers against what looks to be Wanya Morris, because guess who else isn't going to play? And that is Donovan Smith. So Wanya Morris gets his start for the first time this week. It's going to be a lot of fun, and there are going to be a lot of challenges in here. We're going to get to them. It's Isaiah Pacheco that really leads that conversation. Joe and I talked about that quite a bit. Talked about that with Matt Derrick as well. And I was hopeful that Isaiah Pacheco would be able to go. Alas, he is not. I'm going to apologize right now up front. We're in the middle of a snowstorm here in the upper reaches of Colorado. So RGR West is having a little bit of trouble. But, hey, we're going to have some fun with it. And hopefully we shouldn't have any terrible lags here in the stream. But if we do, let me know, everybody. Hope you guys are all doing well. FLDB's in the house, one of our favorite mods, and the guy who has really streamlined the Discord for RGR members. If you want to get in that and you want to get all the extra content, make sure you click over on the join button over to your right, my left, and get in there at the rookie level or above, and that's how you can get access. I'm going to stack some of your questions because we're going to hit those later as we get back. Make sure that I get them all squared away, and we will see. No snow in Fort Collins, Steven. Yeah, it's on its way, pal. Up here or down here, I guess, compared to Fort Collins, I am definitely getting it now. So I'm going to share with you guys my screen and what's going on. And this is what it looks like. It is out for Isaiah Pacheco, we see here. It is out for Brian Cook. That's not much of a surprise for us. It is out for Donovan Smith, and it is out for Drew Tranquil. Still in the concussion protocol. Was not able to go at all Friday. Now, continuing down the Isaiah Pacheco's path, what this means is that it's going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire who starts. It's going to be Jerick McKinnon who's going to fill in quite a bit, and Generic Prince is getting elevated from the practice squad. That's all well and good. I perfectly am comfortable with that. Here's the big thing why the run game still has to be just as much emphasis to take a little bit of pressure off of Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney and all the guys who haven't been performing greatly in the pass game, is that they've been running power recently, and I think that's really a big plus. It helps Clyde in particular, because Clyde is a guy that if he can just run power, he's going to be in a better position to help everybody out. And so I like the fact that even with Isaiah on the sidelines, they're still going to be able to get some of that done. It makes me feel like that part of the game plan is still going to have to go forward, and we're still going to have to see how that comes out. Now, that is hurt by the Donovan Smith outing in terms of what it's going to do for the pass block. I think, honestly, that Wanya Morris played pretty well last week. I was happy with it, and I didn't feel like it set them back at all. But I will say, it's not his strength. His strength is the run game, so I'm happy about that. It should set everybody up to be coming along and hit the ground running. I think that'll take some of the steam out of the front in particular, but the team overall for the Buffalo Bills. And that's something that's going to happen in order to get the Chiefs off and running on the right start. Then we flip over to the defense. And that's really, you guys know how I feel. I really want that to get done. Be a part. Let me see if I can open this in a new space so we can get a good look at it. Wow. Okay. So that is really blown up. That's the part that really sets, I think, this season apart in being able to sustain the defense. It's been a large part thanks to Drew Tranquill and Brian Cook. Brian Cook obviously has been a starter. Drew Tranquill has been filling in for Nick Bolton. But both of them have been stalwarts and have gotten this point, this team to this point. I think they're going to feel the absence of Brian Cook. I really do think that he is a guy that's been able to contribute, able to help them out, and I think that his presence will be missed. Now, Mike Edwards is a perfectly reliable guy that you can sub in there. He's got the experience. He's got the vision that I think really takes it against Josh Allen, because that's one of the things that I think there's an advantage there, that Josh Allen has not been using his eyes in directing traffic or forcing traffic to be affected as well as he has in the past this season from the games that I've seen. But Mike Edwards is at a disadvantage in terms of speed and in terms of size. So lengthwise, et cetera, I think what you're going to have to be nervous about with Brian Cook out and Mike Edwards in, it's going to be a little bit different. I think we're going to see a little bit more three safety set. I think Jamari Conner is going to play more, especially if they decide to try to move Khalil Shakir outside. Now, he runs most of his routes out of the slot, and that's where he's going to see Trent McDuffie. So I think for the Bills, who have been kind of moving their main target around, it's been a three-headed monster the last month or two in Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and then Khalil Shakir, who you guys heard me talk about pre-draft. He's finally coming into his own, much like my guy Zappy did last night. Zappy took some chances. He's a gunslinger, but it worked out. Much the same is going to be for Shakir, but they're going to put up the guy who's playing arguably the best defense on this roster in Trent McDuffie on him. So I think what it's going to come down to is Jalen Watson and Josh Williams on Gabe Davis. Can they track him? Can they physical him up at the line of scrimmage and make sure that he doesn't get off the line unencumbered and can just run crazy? If they can do that, I think they're going to be okay. And then it comes down to whether Nick Bolton is full go or not. With Drew Tranquill in the concussion protocol not going to play, unfortunately, it may be a couple of weeks at this point. But you can see here, full practice for Nick Bolton. Absolutely no injury designation. He will be in the lineup, as will Snead, Tony, Moore. They're all in the same situation. Darius Harris obviously added for depth. Glad that he's there if they need him. And Steven, I will get to your comment here in a minute, and I appreciate you, bro. I think it's about Nick Bolton, because if the Bills are running on all cylinders, Josh Allen's running the ball a little bit. Cook is getting the ball a little bit in the run game. Nick's going to be able to dissuade that better than Drew Tranquill was. But Drew Tranquill's able to cover better than Nick Bolton is. So it's a bit of a trade-off there. And that's where this comes down to the game plan for the Kansas City Chiefs. And that is to find a way to rough up Khalil Shakir in particular, Gabe Davis if he's in the slot, and most importantly, Dalton Kincaid. Now, Dawson Knox, I do not have a final list. Let's see where he was listed. He is questionable. I don't think they have to activate him yet. And with his questionable designation here, I don't think you're going to see him on the field a whole lot for the Buffalo Bills. But that doesn't mean that he can't be on there. They could pull a Saturday designation for return, and he could play Sunday. But that said, I'm not as concerned about that as I am about Dalton Kincaid, who is a much more pure pass catcher and a guy that's been playing well as of late. So for me, as we take a look here, I just want to make sure that Matt Derrick's going to set me straight about how no players are designated as questionable. That means Nick Bolton is definitely in. You guys can see my screen is clearly lagging. But hey, while I have it up here, I will try to remind you guys, if you remember the 13-second game against the Bills, the primary thing was the Reaper. And if you want to get back in the Reaper, go to the RGR store. I've got a bunch of sales on there. And if you use the code Reaper, you're going to get a nice discount this week. Given that it's the Bills game, I wanted to hook you guys up a little bit. But back to the conversation, and that is that it's about Dalton Kincaid and Nick Bolton being more prevalent to a zone drop, a spot drop, not a turn and run type guy. Kincaid can run routes very cleanly. Is he Travis Kelce? No, but he's good. And so I think that that's the matchup. They're going to try to attack the middle in between the hashes because that's where they're a little bit weak right now. So what I have to have is maybe the best output from Willie Gay that we've seen in a long, long, long time. If he can do that, then the Chiefs are in business. And I think they're going to be in a good position to kind of saddle Kincaid, keep him from hurting them over the top, and they'll take their chances with Gabe Davis on the outside against Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson. And I do think it's going to be kind of a tandem attack there. I don't think either of them is really standing out in a positive way. And I don't really have anything that makes me feel one way or the other that one may fare better against Dave Davis than the other. I do think that Snead is likely to travel for the most part with Diggs. It won't be 100%, but I do think for the majority it will be there. I did see your guys' information here about Justin Ross. I am trying to confirm that now, and I'm not finding it yet. But I see that you guys had seen an announcement of some kind. Let me know exactly who put that out, and I'll try to follow that up while we're here together. I don't know what the situation would be for Justin Ross. That's going to be very dependent on not just his reinstatement from the commission and taking off of that list, but also what the Chiefs feel he can contribute. So, Chef, okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Back Monday. Okay, so if he's coming off the list after this weekend, he'll be available Monday. Hey, we will get there and we'll see what happens at that point. Hopefully by then we'll have an announcement or some kind of information from Andy Reid. And, you know, this has been a season where they've had all this talent and they've tried all these combinations that just hasn't come through. We're going to talk about who I think should be getting the ball this week here coming up in a little bit. But Ross would be another option, right? Like you hope that he's learned vicariously. He's been suspended, hasn't been able to be participating, but you'd hope that he's learned, still has the playbook and is in it and understands where to be, because the communications, the sight reads, the understanding how the offense is meant to function has been the issue this year. And so I would hope that he was able to make up a little bit of ground as we went. Now, for those of you asking, no, Daniel is not going to be on the stream today. He has some family stuff, so it's just you and me as we go along. But I am also going to be helping you guys because you know that we are sponsored on Fridays by Underdog Fantasy. And I want to get into them as we make a pick 'em here together pretty quick. We're going to start with Matt Stafford because I think this is one of the more interesting games, the Rams versus the Baltimore Ravens. We're all pulling for the Rams, right? Knock the Ravens around a little bit, keep another contender out of the sights of Kansas City and try to keep that up. They're only projecting him for 14 points. I think he's going to need to play catch up a little bit. So I think that's going to have to come around. He scored 20 plus in 2 of his last 3 outings. So I don't think that's a big stretch for me. I don't know it's going to be a 4-touchdown performance, but that's okay. I'm going to take the higher on Matt Stafford because I think he's going to have to keep up with Lamar a little bit. And to go along with that, it is going to be Puka Nacua that I think is going to reap the rewards there of it. They have his line only at 10 points. That's like a touchdown and maybe 60 yards. I feel like that's going to be a pretty simple thing to match. You can see against Seattle, he had 70 yards and a tud for 16 points. I don't think that's going to be an issue. So I have the higher on Puka Nacua too. And if you guys don't recall, we are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. They are our friends and partners and setting us up with a special code RGR when you go to underdogfantasy.com and sign up. Use that code RGR. You're going to get a $100 deposit match. So if you deposit $100, they're going to give you $100 on top of that with which to play. Plus, you get in the mystery pick'em, and there's all kinds of pick'ems going on. As we're walking through this entry right now, that's going to give you the pick'em and the way that we go about it. And as we complete that, what you're going to find is that you just have to pick 4. 4 gets you in a standard play, and you're able to make all your selections, make your bet, and get in the action. What it also does is it allows you to go 5 and get the insured play. That means if you miss one, you're still in the running. It's a nice way to play daily fantasy sports, make a little money on it too, given how much we all know that you know about this game. So we've got 2 of our selections in it, and any quarterback battle has to have both sides of it. So Lamar Jackson's going to be my other selection here. They've got him down for 18 points. It's a little bit of a stretch because he's only topped that once out of the last 3 times, and it was against Cincinnati. So with the Chargers and the Cleveland Browns, I think in a bit of disarray, let's be real, I do think he's been able to slack off, but I think he's going to get pushed by the Rams. Between Nakua, Kupp looks like he's going to be available. Kyron Williams has run that offense well, and obviously Matt Stafford's able to push the ball pretty dang well. I'm comfortable with Lamar Jackson making that 18.45, and I'm taking the higher on him today. So I selected that. And last, we're going to go Zay Flowers, pass catcher for him. Now, this is the question mark, 8.3 points. He's only gone under that once in the last 3 games. Would you take the lower? You could, if you think that he's going to be phased out of that game, but I don't think that's the case. I think he's coming on as the season goes on. So I'm going to take the higher on Zay Flowers to hook up with Lamar Jackson and really get us into the money. And so right here, I have the standard play set. I'm going to go in for 25, see what we can make. And we will get after that with the 4 selection tag. I like that concept. It paid off for us last week, and we did hit all of our numbers. So we're going to submit that for you guys right now today so you can see it go live right now, and we're going to be in the money. So if you guys want to check that out, feel free. Go to underdogfantasy.com and use the code RGR, and you can get right into the thick of it. Now, what comes next? What comes next is defending the Buffalo Bills. And that comes down to taking away Josh Allen. This can't be a jailbreak pass rush game, right? The front 4 for the Kansas City Chiefs has to understand where he is. He ran 9 carries for 81 yards last week. It was a clutch performance that he just got going. And I'm concerned that if they don't pay particular attention about keeping him contained, that Josh Allen's going to take that up a notch and look to really exploit the Chiefs on the ground. So I need a little bit of blitz pressure, but I need a contained rush from the outside. That means that the guy that has the best matchup for me, it's really not that close. I'm going to show you guys what happened last week for the Buffalo Bills because it's important. Try to make this the right size so y'all can see it. When it comes down to pass blocking, we have to go all the way down here. Oh, this is season grades. Apologies. I'm going to have to go back to their game to show you the specifics because it was quite a debacle. But it's George Karlaftis that's going to get the prime matchup. And I think that I'm comfortable with that. I think he can make the most of it. And I think it's going to have to be something that he doubles down on. If I can get the Bills to come up here. Oh, no, they were on bye, so it's 2 weeks ago. That's why I'm doing that wrong. There's a lot of things going on, folks, and sometimes I lose track of a couple of them. And when you see this blocking grade, it is the right tackle that I am most excited about. Spencer Brown allowed, I think, 5 pressures last week. Last time they were on the field, that is. And he had the lowest grade of all the offensive linemen. So it's really not much of a question mark for me. Deion Dawkins played well. He did get a little bit of relief from David Edwards, a little bit, who also did not perform very well. But down in, down out, the way to attack this is on the right-hand side at the tackle position. So Karlaftis has to be in a position to reap the benefits of that. That means Chris Jones has to be drawing those double teams, maybe a Menahue as well. I'd like to see them mix up the fronts a little bit to trying to get George one-on-one. If they do that, I think George Karlaftis could have multiple sack game. He just has to rush with contain. And the good thing about the way that George Karlaftis rushes the passer, it is generally linear. So he can jack that tackle into Josh Allen's lap and be there when he scrambles. If he takes a looping path to it, that's how you leave an escape route for Josh Allen, and then he just runs away from you. I don't anticipate that to happen. I think they're going to be serious, and I think they're going to be a pocket-crushing defensive front this week. They're going to attack that particular tackle, Spencer Brown, and I think that's going to work out for them pretty well. In terms of receiving, we talked about that briefly, but I do want to just highlight that last time it is Kincaid that just had a short yardage game, but 5 of 6 passes. They're going to try to feed him against the Chiefs linebackers this week. They'll let everybody else work off of that, whether it's Diggs, Davis, or Shakir. That's got to be their game plan. Flapjack, thanks for the super jack. I appreciate that. Should Mahomes stop doing anticipatory throws and just put the ball on the wide receivers? Unfortunately, if you put it right on a guy, in the NFL, more than likely the DB's got a 50-50 shot, if not better, at getting it. You do have to lead just a little bit, but it's NFL anticipatory, right? It's a little bit different than we've seen at the college level or anything like that. So Flapjack, I can't say that he should go completely away from it, but I do think he has to be a little bit more comfortable, and he has to, I think, set his feet a little bit more, be more deliberate when he delivers the ball. He had a couple passes get away from him last week, go behind the receivers, and that's going to hurt them. So just be a little bit more decisive. I want to see the RPOs come out of the offense. I want to see them just have the slants, the two-step drops, get the ball out. I don't want to see as many RPOs where he's got to think and make a decision and then get the ball, because a lot of times the separation isn't there. There's just enough off the initial go that I just want him to hit his back foot and get the ball out. I think that's going to help them overall. But great question, and I appreciate the super chat. Thanks for the help, buddy. We are going to get to the rest of your questions too. I just want to hit this last point, because in the end, this is a team, the Buffalo Bills, that gives very, very tough time. And this is going to be a back and forth game. I don't expect this to be a walkout. You can hope for that. I'd love to see it start that way. But in the end, I think it's going to have to be one where the Chiefs show their backbone. They're going to have to sustain a lot of punches from the Buffalo Bills. They're going to have to come back in this game at least once, in my opinion. And I think that that's really going to be what shows the character of this team. How do they do that? Go back to the running the ball. Is it going to be as productive without Pacheco? Probably not, but you still have to dedicate the 15 carries to it for the primary ball carrier. And then you have to run the play action off of it. You have to feed Rashee Rice. No two ways about it. It is a two-pillar attack with Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. Everything else has to come off of that. If they use Kadarius Toney, again, I can't say that I expect them to do what I'm telling them to do and attack downfield with him. Honestly, they ought to be running stacked formations so that he can kind of trail off of Travis Kelce's rear and make catches that way. The behind the ball carrier stuff, the behind the line of scrimmage stuff, it just doesn't work. The shovel pass has to come out of this game plan as well. That's not going to work against the Buffalo Bills. Greg Rousseau has had a penchant for getting some of Patrick's passes. If they try that inside shovel on this ball game, I think that's going to end badly. It makes me nervous, and I hope they take it out of the game plan. I would not do it this week. Now, let's get back to your questions. We're going to run through them all. Let's go last call for super chats. If you want in here, we've got a couple of memberships as well, so I want to get you guys some action. Thank you, Flapjack. Appreciate you. We're going to come back to Steven. I asked Dan prior stream if the Chiefs should double dip at wide receiver in the draft. Who should we target? There's a number of guys that I like in this offense. It's a combination of a vertical game and a West Coast game. Everyone's going to start talking about Rome Odunze. I have him as wide receiver 2. A lot of folks are going to have him as 3 or 4. Neighbors, Coleman, I think are probably the guys that are going to push him in and around that 2 to 4 range. Marvin Harrison's the number 1. It's not a question. I don't think it's going to change at all. But if he were to fall to the 4th wide receiver slot and he's in the teens, Chiefs might consider going up to get Rome Odunze. I don't think that happens. I think he goes off the board number 2 wide receiver in the top 10, and there's not a chance. So I would like to come back. Will they use Keon Coleman enough? I'm not quite certain of that. So I would like to see them come back. The other Washington receiver that I really like is Polk. Jalen Polk. I think he's going to be available, though, either for them at their pick at 32 or maybe even down into the 40s. I don't think they're going to have to trade up to get him, so I think he's an option there. Troy Franklin, Dan and I have both talked about. I think you might have to move up a touch for him, but probably I think he's going to be there. I think he also can play an X-type role and do something for you. Other guys that I like include McConkey from Georgia, Burden from Mizzou, who I think is going to be a second day. Both those guys should be second-day players that the Chiefs will have an opportunity to pick. Now, there's a lot of sleepers later on down the line. I think there's 3 guys from Washington that can get drafted. Egbuka is going to be in there. He's going to be a day 2 guy. I think right now, maybe I'm wrong. We'll see how the film works out. There's going to be plenty of secondary options that are not the primary guy on their college team. So I definitely think there's some double dipping that can happen. I do like the kid from Carolina too, whose name is escaping me right now. Walker, I want to say. He's going to be a lower down pick. So there's definitely a possibility if the Chiefs are comfortable either with what happens with Wanya Morris here in the next 5 games, or if they decide to go free agency for left tackle, that they could decide to go a wide receiver with the one. They could come back in the third or fourth and get another. I definitely think there's a double dip possibility. It all comes down to what I think is the most serious thing is they have to figure out the left tackle position for 2024. Is he on the roster already in Wanya Morris? I'd love it if it were true. We'll find out. There's also a decent tackle class coming in this group. You guys have heard me talk about Joe Alt, Oli Fashanu. I think Fuaga, Fatanu, a couple of West Coast guys that people are talking about as left tackles quite a bit, or tackles in general. I think both those guys are destined to go inside to guard, but that's just my take. We'll run through the film and see if Dan agrees, and we'll give you all of our prognostications on Rogue APC for the Athletic Matrix and the Draft Guide, and all the written content is going to be on NFL33.com. We're starting to put the paywall up. That's how that site functions and keeps itself alive, is by having folks subscribe as payers. So if you want to get in on the action, get ready for the draft, head over there and get a paid subscription. Cole, how long do you expect Pacheco to be out? I don't know. Andy hinted at an IR stretch today, which would be a minimum of 4 games. I can live with that. I am concerned that this is the same shoulder, and that was confirmed today as well, Cole. It's the same shoulder he had the surgical repair on. And so I don't want to take any chances with that. That is one way for a power-based, impact-driven running back to shorten his career, is to screw up his shoulder twice. If that were to become a permanent problem, it's going to limit what Pacheco can do in Kansas City. So I'd rather they take the soft route, give him the time, use Clyde, use Prince, use Mick. I think they're going to be okay. It's more about the dedication to the run game, not who the runner is. Yes, Pacheco gets extra yards. He grinds it out, and he gets the energy. Clyde's been running very hard this season, too, because he's got a lot to prove. If he wants to play in the league next year, he's got to go make an impression. This is actually quite a good opportunity for Clyde, and that means he should be pressing hard. He should be performing well for himself and therefore for Kansas City. So let's hope that that's the way that it works out. Stephen, Bills are coming off a bye, and this can save the season. You're absolutely right. It can keep them alive in the playoff hunt. So the Chiefs empty the clip to put them out. I always feel like I don't think they could empty the clip if they want. They could run all the special plays that Andy's holding back, and I don't think they'd get through them all in a ball game. So I think that they need to be aggressive. They need to use their tools, and they don't need to be shy about it. Does it have to be everything, Stephen? I don't think that that's necessarily true, because I do think there's a large volume of plays. But they do need to go secure this win. Same thing with Cincinnati. I know they're a wounded animal as well. They have to go get that win as well. The Chiefs need to win out if they want a shot at the first round bye and hosting the Dolphins at home, which I do think is going to be a matchup. So I know folks are saying this isn't a must-have game. In my opinion, in order to make it to the Super Bowl, I do think that this is a must-have game. So yes, empty that clip, pull out all the tricks. Let's get after it. FLDB, thanks, buddy. So Justin Ross suspended 6 games, including the 5 he's missed while on paid leave. Okay, so he was on the commissioner's exempt list. He's going to be suspended 6, so that means he's got this one left, and then he's back. Thanks, Frankie. I appreciate you for laying that out and making sure that I'm on the right track. Adam, thanks for being here. I appreciate you as always. Me and the RGR team, thank you as well. If you didn't see Seth this week, we should see him next week. He had the lawyer and thing to do a little bit. Gary had a great piece last night, but because of Thursday Night Football, it didn't get a whole lot of attention. So make sure you go back and check out Gary's piece, because a lot of thought and a lot of effort goes into that, and he's got some great stats to go with it. Steven, I was punching air watching Zappy. Yeah. It was exactly what I thought. He was able to make reads. He was able to make decisions. He was able to get the ball out of his hands. Cut it a little tight a couple of times. There was at least 2 plays that could have been interceptions that weren't. So I'm not trying to say that he's all world, but this is the Bailey Zappi I expected to see at some point, and I think he can build from here. So I think it definitely. I would love to see Bailey Zappi be Patrick's backup at some point. That's where I'm coming from. Let's see, Stephen. You'd mentioned Leggett. I have not been able to see him live yet. So hopefully I'll get some. I'm sure I'll be able to get film on him. I just haven't had a chance. Doc, I think I answered your question that they should double dip in the the later rounds. So we'll get back from that one. I'm just stacking the rest of your questions, folks. We're going to go a few more minutes, and then I'm off to get kids. It's a snowstorm here, so it's going to take me a little bit of extra. Daniel, appreciate the gifting of memberships, and that's something fun that YouTube's really introduced lately, that you can gift memberships out. A lot of folks are getting them. Darius got one. Thank you all for the generosity in bringing more Chiefs fans onto the channel and giving them the access. I didn't have game notes from the Green Bay because I was there. Clearly wasn't in my normal setup. But you're going to get some rants. You're going to get both Dan and I kind of going off on the topics that we feel are super important. You're going to get my game notes most weeks. And you're going to get the extras, how we see things happening, especially on breaking news. We're going to give you the skinny on it with no punches pulled, no polite talk. You're going to hear us do the whole 9 yards as if we're sitting around having a beer, and I'm going to tell you how it really is. I try not to cuss in public. That's different behind the scenes, so just be warned. If you want in those memberships, go sign up, or maybe, hopefully, somebody gets you a gifted one. Cheers to you, Daniel. Appreciate you. Yep, Steven, I definitely was. Let's see, Justin, you're here. And Justin, we still got to talk about the tech channel, RGRX. I'm serious about that. If you want to put something together, we'll start working together. Do we draft a punter this offseason? That's kind of hurtful for Holly. I mean, you know how much she loves him. I think he'll probably be back myself, because I think of the few things that are consistently good in this special teams unit, yeah, Tommy's one of them. So I think it's going to be back. And Justin, thank you. I'm not sure, entirely sure how I got my membership back. I think somebody might have gifted you there, pal. I'm not sure, but glad that you did, and welcome back. Richie James was 22's most reliable receiver. Why are they using him given the drops and everyone else? It's because of the injury, and they're just kind of peppering him in. And quite frankly, they've been searching for somebody to return the ball, so they're trying not to put too much on him, Casey. And I know where you're coming from, because I agree. I think this week in particular, if you're going to attack the Bills in return out of the slot, I'd like to see Richie James get some targets. I don't think he's been used enough yet. And if you're not going to pull the trigger on Kadarius Toney, get Richie James in the game. He is more reliable. He can do more things in the area that the Chiefs are able to go right now. And I do think that that's a good way to get the ball out of Patrick's hands and into somebody who can make plays. Chiefs again, do you think that Mahomes is going to want out if we don't get him receivers? No. I mean, he'll get frustrated, I'm sure. But Patrick is sold into this organization. He's not buying stakes in other KC teams for nothing. He's going to be in Kansas City and for life. I don't think he's going to want out. He may start complaining. I would not bother that at all. So I really do think that it's going to settle down, but I also think they're going to address it. So I don't think it's going to be a continual problem. Holly, very nice. 5 memberships gifted to the group, and it's randomized, as I understand. I don't get to even see it until it happens. So Holly, thank you very much. I like the new profile picture, and thank you for growing the membership base around here. And same thing with you, Frankie. You guys are rocking it. Very much appreciated. That is awesome. And you too, Chris. Let's all get into the action. It's a lot of fun. We do some member streams from time to time, usually in the off season, but we might even try to do that. I am not going to make the Christmas Day game, which was originally my plan. So maybe that afternoon we can maybe do a stream or something like that. Awesome. Yes, you guys rock. I appreciate you very, very much. Grant, what's going on with KT, and why is he not getting snaps? That's the magic question. He seems healthy. Andy talked about like guarding him for the longevity of the season, but that seems to have come off the plan now. Yet there's no explanation for why he's not getting more. I agree with you. I want to see the gloves come off. Use the guy. You can't save him forever. Right now, I think it's worth going after the first round by getting the top seed. I don't think that it's worth holding back for the playoff run just to earn yourself another playoff game. I think the wear and tear on this roster is worth opening up the playbook and exposing Kadarius in particular, but the roster in general, to maybe a little bit more risk in order to get that first round bye. That's definitely where I am. Steven, what's the whole drama around Sean McDermott? He said something in a meeting 4 years ago, comparing. I don't know the details. He compared something to a terrorist organization, and it was supposed to be internal, and it got leaked. I don't know. I'm hoping that it's just a distraction and it helps the Chiefs win a ball game. Other than that, I'm kind of out of it. So very much appreciate everybody. Now let's all have a beer. I like it, John Russell. You're on my wavelength, pal. You all are legendary, and thank you for gifting that out to the rest of the community. This community has been great from day one. Is it the biggest? Is it the most entertainment-driven community? No, we're here to talk ball, and I appreciate all of you being here, especially everyone who's been here for so long, and Justin and Holly and Night Hunter, FLDB, Gary, all of you guys that have been here from the beginning. I really do appreciate it. This has become a big part of my life. It isn't just talking ball. It's more than that, and it's because of you. So I very much appreciate it. John, let's see. We're gonna wrap up with the questions here. It's been on. I've been on it, Gary. Just trying to get the beer train rolling. I like it. I'm gonna have some tonight after I get back. So I hope that you guys have fun. Let's see. You guys are all awesome. That's at least 15 gifted memberships today. Yes, and yes. Doctor, you said it correctly. Thanks to you for giving us your honest opinion day in and day out. Absolutely, man. I wouldn't do it any other way. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And I am wrong from time to time, but I'm kind of happy this year to see it kind of roll back around to the way that I like to do things. There's 1,000 ways to win a football game. I just like to do it a specific way, and it starts like the Chiefs are starting to see it my way a little bit this season anyway. So, Holly, I very much appreciate that comment. I hope so, and that's really the goal, is for us all to get smarter about this game together. Let's see. Justin, Sean said that he wanted players to fight like it's 9/11 hijackers. Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, no, that's not good. I don't like the way that went down. Hey, there you go, Knight. I'll take it. If we agree, who could be wrong? All right. I hope you guys have a great Friday night. I'm off to pick up kids and get on with the family time tonight. We will be live for you post-game, as we always are. We will break it down, and I will have game notes this week. So thank you all. For everyone who gifted memberships to other members of this community, I very much appreciate you. We owe you for the joy of that, and I'll make sure that we take advantage of it and get you guys some content out there. Dan's with the daughter today as well, but I'm sure he'll have a rant coming up after this Bills game. I think the Reaper could come back out. So check it out. You want to get the Reaper gear, check out the RGR store. Go over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use the RGR if you want to get it on Daily Fantasy Sports. It's going to be a ton of fun. You guys have a great night. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk to you Sunday.